All right, so now I want to just briefly talk about kind of the big picture view of where we're at and where we're heading. So in the coming week, you're going to learn about a couple of main things. Going to get a little more detail about what database management systems are. We've already got the big idea of what they are, a little more detail about that and how they're used, how different organizations use them and different people in organizations, what their roles are in working with database management systems. And after we move past that, we'll kind of pass the just general information stage in the class. And then we start getting into the more technical details. So we're going to move into this week, you're going to move into starting to learn about this thing called the relational data model. And all that's referring to is a relational database is a database that stores data in tables, almost always multiple tables. So a university is going to have lots of tables of data. Okay, they're going to probably have hundreds or even possibly in thousands tables of data in this big database. So I'll jump over here real quick to an actual database if I can get to it. Yep. And this is a database, an example database where we've got a few tables. We've got some tables of having customer data and employee data. So this would be like a company, right? Orders placed by customers, products that we sell. And then I've opened a few of those. So here's the customer table right here. And you can see that we have a few things like their first name and their last name. See that heading at the top that kind of gives you a clue about that and their address, that type of thing. Okay, so these are some of our customers. And you can see over here, this is a table called order table. So this is orders that were placed by customers on a specific date. And here's where you start to see this relational model because we have to keep track of which customer placed the order. And we do that by having something kind of a relationship between these two tables. And if you look closely at this table, you can see that there's something called customer number right here, or no. And if you look at that, you'll see that these customer numbers match up with customer numbers from this table. So a lot of what relational database is about is having matching data between two tables so you can tie them together, so you can tie together information from one to another. So we have to have some sort of matching data to know which customer placed which order, right? So there's a date and a time and that type of thing. And then we've got this products table. So we also need some things to tie together. Well, that order contained which products. So we end up with multiple tables that all have some sort of relationship, or we need to say this information goes with some of this and this information goes with some of this. How do we put all of those together and how do we properly store those to make sure that in the end, when it's the day that our company needs to ship out some product, right? Some order that somebody placed. How do we find out which product it is? How many do we need to send to them? What date we need to send it by, where it's actually going. Got to tie all that data together. So that's what the relational data model and relational databases are all about. Storing data in multiple tables in a way that we can tie it all together to get the information we need. And then lastly, on this page, then what we move into quickly is probably the biggest portion of this course, and that's querying a relational database. And we're not going to get to that in the next week, but it'll come soon after. And querying just means searching through all the data. So I just mentioned, searching for certain orders placed by certain companies or customers of certain products, that type of thing. Okay, we can run queries. And all of you have done a little bit of this in the past if you've taken computers and tech, which you all should have done. But we didn't do too much of it. So we get into a lot more complicated queries where we're actually searching through databases, relational databases, to get information we want, get interesting information and useful information we want. And we're going to use something called SQL, this language that we can use to query databases. So that will be coming soon after.